got our Viking purified raw linseed oil from Earth Flax, and I'm just going to paint this on in a thin coat and just try to let it soak in for the next day or so. Here we are, it's been 24 hours, so on to the next step. We're gonna heat and scrape. So I've got this clamped to the table so it doesn't move around while I'm scraping it. I've got a drop cloth set up to catch all that lead paint chip stuff. And I have labeled the window panes because those are gonna come out today. We got a couple different scrapers. I'm probably gonna be using mostly this guy. And we've got our infrared heater, and underneath that is our aluminum, cardboard piece covered with aluminum foil. Heat shield to protect the glass while we're scraping. All right, here's the first bit. Let's protect that glass. And let's try to heat this wood here. Told to just leave this on probably around 30 seconds. It starts smoking a lot or bubbling a lot, like you can kind of see there, then you probably have heated it a little bit too much. But this infrared heater is not going to scorch the wood, which is nice. And I'm going to put on my respirator. Give that a try. Got a sharp scraper here. Oh yeah, it just came right off.
To get into all these little crevices, I'm going to use a different tool with several different types of edges to get into these little notches so I can scrape out both the paint and the leftover dried putty. Here again, the infrared heater was invaluable. I absolutely had to heat that up in order to get any of the paint off. And you just have to be tenacious. It's really tedious to get this paint out, and you have to be careful not to score the wood, so you can't really be too hard on it. But you just got to keep at it until it's gone.
All right, fast forward about 3 hours, and here we are. Got them done. Nice and smooth. The hard part was getting all the crud from all these little putty areas. It's kind of dry, and it's kind of hard to heat it up. I mean, it does much better when you use the infrared guy on it, but it's kind of hard to do that. I was kind of worried about the glass. I don't know what happens when you overheat the glass, but I don't want to find out. So it's just a lot of going over it again, and going over it again, going over it again, but we got there. So side A is done, time for side B.
It definitely took a little time to get a system with this, but I did get the hang of it. I ended up using different tools. I used this tool, used all the different surfaces. I used the straight scraper that I showed you earlier, the triangle shaped one. I just used it in my hand, just put this down, use the triangle scraper on it. And the putty knife came in handy on the corners. It's really easy for the paint to get wedged in there. Just use the putty knife to scrape it out.
This is the B side of the first two windows. Got that done today. This is getting quicker and quicker, getting more used to the angles that you got to scrape at, and just kind of get my own little techniques together. Hopefully that's going to show up on video. But here we are, going to get the other 3 windows oiled up and ready to go for tomorrow. Next 3 are up. Got the linseed oil on. Let these puppies soak for a day, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. All right, next phase of these first 2 windows is the shellacking phase. You want to talk about that?
Yep, so this is just shellac flakes in denatured alcohol. We prepared those earlier, a lot earlier. That's what it looks like. And we're just gonna put it in the rabbit section where we put all of the putty, because that will prevent the putty from sinking into the wood, and then also prevent, yeah, just early putty failure, basically. This is a piece of glass we got from the Home Depot. This is our glass cutter that we will be using. That little ball thing there does the scoring. And this is the size of glass that we need. So I just measured this. We're gonna have to make 2 cuts. So I made marks here and here with the Sharpie. I just put a straight edge. And then we'll just make 1 score across, and then we should be able to put it on the edge of this table and snap it. That's the theory anyway. We saw this on YouTube. So have we cut glass before? No, but here's to prove that basically anybody can do this because we're doing it. So we have gloves, safety glasses. We're wearing these masks because we're still stripping, but you don't need a mask to cut glass.
Stripping paint. Stripping paint.
Stripping paint, whoops. Okay, so just hold down this firmly. Start at the edge of the glass. And then you should be able to press down with your index finger, and it should make a scraping sound. Oh, and that did not go against the straight edge. And the straight edge. You're supposed to line up that line with the edge of the table. I hope this is gonna work. Oh. Hey! That worked! First time cutting glass ever! Hey! No.
So close.
We did it!
Nice.
We did all of the shellac inside the rabbits. We showed that. So now there's just like a little extra that's coming over the sides here. And I will be scraping that off with my scraper. It comes right off, no issue. And you just don't want that because when you paint over it, there'll be some flashing and you'll be able to see like that mark if you don't take it out. Hey guys, so we just finished putting in our tiny pieces of matchstick. So it would be like a buffer for the window panes so that they don't rattle around and then they won't be any loose at all. So we're just gonna look at that here. Here's one right here. You can see we stuck it into the putty. And it's just providing that extra little cushion for the glass. Now we're gonna take our glazing pins. You see this? And this is the little tool to just push them in. So they just fit together like that. We're gonna push them into the thicker pieces of wood instead of these pieces. These are really small panes, so they don't need 4 of these. We're just gonna put 1 here, 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 and 1 here. I just line that up to where I want it, and I just give it a little push, just like that, and then it's in.
Somehow we managed not to get any footage of the putty trim at all, but this was actually a really interesting part. Christina did an excellent job. It's very challenging. Once those glazing pins are in, you take your putty knife and you smear the putty around each window pane with a generous amount of putty. And then take your blade and trim that excess putty in a uniform line all the way across. And as soon as you're done, you want to apply your first coat of linseed oil paint.
Christina's painting, applying the first coat of paint here. So what's this like? What are you trying to do?
get it as thin as possible because it does take a really long time to dry. Yesterday we did pretty good with that one. All of this flat part was dry, that was good. I had some paint build up here and that did not dry, so, and that was overnight. That was like at least 12 hours, so it takes a long time for it to dry.
All right, so we're at the point where we have 4 coats of paint on each side. It's 4 coats of red and 4 coats of white. All I'm going to do today is just smear a little bit of white paint with a rag around the sides, just for a little bit of protection for the wood. And try to do that without getting it all over the red.
All right, here it is. Exterior, interior. And all I'm doing is just taking this rag, just dipping a little bit of paint. And I'm just trying to get a really thin coat. So I'm just going to rub this, smear this evenly across all the open naked wood. And done. All 4 sides. Very, very, very light coat. Just spread it thin with a towel. Just to give some weather sealing and some waterproofing protection for wood. This is scraping the paint, so we're making a clean, you're making a clean border around it. You're not trying to get it super tight. You want about 1/8 of an inch of paint around each of these sides, and that's a little difficult. So what I've got here is some Linseed Oil Soap and a scratchless sponge, and I'm just going to wet it. Makes the Linseed Oil Paint a little bit easier to get off. So here's what it looks like now. I'm going to take my spackle blade and I'm going to mark off what looks like about 1/8 of an inch here. I'm going to take my little razor blade and just scrape right along the edge. So that was a little bit too thick. So that's the cool part. You can go back and just shave a little bit more off. Better to do that than to take too much off. Now, looks like that.
And here's the end result of our first attempt restoring these antique windows. We are very happy with the way that these turned out. We followed a simple process laid out by Earth Flax in her wonderful instructional videos. We'll go ahead and put that in the description below. We went ahead and installed these in our antique log cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Central Virginia later that week. And we've got 4 or 5 windows left, so we're going to get another crack at doing these. It was definitely more of a challenge than we anticipated, so we're going to take what we learned and hopefully apply it in a better instructional video next time. As always, thank you for watching. Give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.